So as per the agenda of the session today, we will actually cover what are the elements of the admin exam, the key topics that you should be learning, and how you can kind of improve your focus while you're preparing for the admin exam. We will also look at a case study around overall implementation, that how you can kind of relate your day-to-day concepts to or day-to-day requirements to the Salesforce concepts. And then we will talk about the next steps after this. Okay. So I'll not take much time. Let's just get started here. So first, let's start with that what a Salesforce admin can do. Okay. So let's just.
What is a Salesforce administrator? Salesforce admins go by many names. They are productivity powerhouses, CRM rock stars, and Salesforce superheroes. They are your trusted advisors on all things Salesforce and a vital bridge between business and technology. So what exactly do they do? Salesforce admins can work on their own or as part of a team. They work alongside management to bring innovation to life, streamline processes, and keep the bottom line moving forward. Admins work hard to fight inefficiency and champion productivity. They probe the depths of the Salesforce ecosystem. They learn all of Salesforce's newest features and make sure every employee is up to speed. Salesforce admins are part advisor, part artist. They create awesome tools on any device, like easy-to-use dashboards, intelligent workflows, and apps for any project. And most importantly, they are there whenever you need them to keep your users educated, your problems solved, and your projects moving forward. A Salesforce admin delivers creative solutions, making your users happier and your business smarter. So next time you ask, what does a Salesforce admin do? Maybe you should ask, what don't they do? Learn more at admin.
Right, so there it is, like what Salesforce administrators can do.
What
they are actually the heart of the system, right? So they are the heart of Salesforce ecosystem in any organization that is using Salesforce, right? So having said that, I mean, I would like to just reiterate the points that were covered in that video as well. So for me, I interpret it as the first step of learning Salesforce. It is the first step where you actually get introduced to the Salesforce configurations and the features which are there. Salesforce admin is actually a master of the configuration. So as a Salesforce admin, you are expected to understand the nitty-gritties of the configurations. You should be able to make a decision whether certain feature can be achieved better by doing the configurations, and we should be kind of moving towards the least customizations. So that's where the Salesforce admins kind of play a key role, right? So let's take an example wherein say you have to send an email to the customer, right? So it's better to go with workflows or the flow designs rather than building any sort of code around that, right? So, I mean, that's a simple example I've taken, but then there are many instances as you come across when you are actually working in your day-to-day requirements for your customers and for your clients. Okay, so that's where the crux of the Salesforce administrator lies. At a point, actually, I would say Salesforce administrator does not monitor the application on day-to-day basis, but he or she is also responsible for managing the entire ecosystem, understanding and optimizing the performance of the overall application. So those are the key aspects that Salesforce admin actually should be covering. And as in Salesforce administrator or learning the Salesforce administration configurations, you get those advantages, okay? You also have to become a key roller for the data security management. And I mean, these are like just top 5 benefits that I'm talking about, but then there are like many more. So when you are when you have mastered your Salesforce administrator skills, right, you are actually well equipped with the technology in terms of what it offers out of the box, and in terms of understanding the end-to-end configurations that it offers, what the tool is all about. So that is what you gain as a Salesforce administrator, right? So let's actually not put a lot of time in looking at the PPTs. What I would uh, first take up is the case study that I would want to discuss with all of you, so that you are able to follow the other topics, or say basically the time that we are going to spend in next 1 hour covering the key topics. Okay, so I'll just share my board. Um, right. So let's take a look at the case study from the Sales Cloud perspective. Okay. So from Sales Cloud perspective, let's take an example where I just want to sell. Uh, I want to sell some phones. Okay. So let's take this as a simple example to understand how Sales Cloud and how overall Salesforce administrator should be correlating the end-to-end story. Okay. So you want to sell phones. Now, the market area that you are looking at is B2C segment, and you are also looking at the B2B segment for selling the same phones. When I say B2C, it means the consumers just like you and me. Okay. And when I say B2B, these are like large or small organizations who wish to buy the phones in bulk. Okay. I can also segment these customers into more categories, which we can call as wholesale or SME. Okay. So SME is your small medium enterprise companies which are like holding uh, small states, or basically doing small businesses. And wholesale is basically a larger segment where there is a lot of bulk purchase that is done. So let's see, or try to understand the basic difference between the two workflows that will happen. Okay. So here my sales process, how it should be looking like for a B2C customer and for a B2B customer. Okay. So say I have a lead, which is nothing but an inquiry, right? I'll be using some terms from the general day-to-day life so that you are able to relate it better. So it's just an inquiry that you get, but converting this lead into an opportunity or into a prospect customer is where actually Salesforce helps you, and Salesforce sales automations actually help, right? So let's look at two examples. So for B2B scenario, how my workflow would look like, and for B2C scenario, how would my workflow look like? So for B2C, it's simple because I look at a very small turnaround time, which we call as TAT in sales languages. So I look for a very small turnaround time where uh, today my inquiry is there and tomorrow I should be able to process my order, right? So it could be like kind of selling your selling your phones through your website or through your point of sales, wherein the customers can just step in and buy, but you still want to track it, right? So you have the order created directly here, and then you process with the next steps of dispatch and delivery, right? So this is like a very simple workflow that we can kind of build for a B2C customer for the consumer business, right? Now, if you look at the B2B customer segment, so in this case, we actually don't directly go to the order, but we go to the opportunity. Fair enough? So these are like the key elements that you might have seen in the Sales Cloud. And if you have not yet started using it, but then if you start using it, you will get these terms coming in. So an opportunity is nothing but a prospect for me. Okay, so it's a customer who is not yet become a customer in my system, but he is a prospect for me, and he has not yet purchased a product right now. So he is a prospect, and I will try all all the ways to qualify and take this ahead, take this prospect ahead towards the order generation, towards adding the prospect into my system, right? So having said that, we have the opportunity. Now let's look at two customer segments that we were talking about here, the wholesale and the SME segment. Okay. So this is my segment 1 and this is my segment 2. Now the way the opportunity will be processed for me for the wholesale customer and the SME customer will be different. Reason being that for an SME customer, I would not want to go a whole lot of steps. So SME could be like a higher version of B2C where I have like 10 or 15 10 or 15 employees of that company, or maybe like up to 1500. But wholesale would be like a big chunk where they are looking in purchasing a big amount of phones and kind of trying to reselling that. Okay, so essentially the steps for the sales process that I would look in this case would be prospecting, where I see the customer to be engaged and the account team and the opportunity teams working on it. Second step I understand as qualification, where they try to qualify the opportunity and take it to the next level. Then I see analysis, where they're trying to analyze the requirements of the segment. So based on this, they may whole lot kind of consider designing a new application or designing something new for this segment. Okay, so that's kind of a hypothetical step that we can have. Then some sort of value proposition, price quote. Next step would be negotiation. And the last step would be closing the opportunity, whether it's won or lost. Okay, so these are the different processes that we, these are the different steps in the sales process that we would go for the wholesale. But for SME, we can consider like a more simplistic steps, where we say either we look at prospecting stage, we look at qualification, then we look at creating a quote, then we look at negotiation, and the last step we look at closing the deal with won or lost statement. So these are the different processes that a wholesale or an SME customer would have. Now there are like other elements that are required when you are actually working on such kind of deals, right? So from a company perspective who is trying to sell their phones, right, they would be having an account team to manage their wholesale and SME customers. They would be having the opportunity team who would be brought in temporarily to work on the opportunities. Then they would have their whole lot of sales representatives working in some area, and then they would have their own hierarchy of sales managers and area managers and all. Okay. And then they may also have some tech SMEs, the technical SMEs who may be brought in at who may be brought in at some point in time to work on the opportunity on a temporary business, right? So now, when I actually try to correlate this to the entire piece of admin course that I have, right? So I start with config and setup. Okay, so where I set up my users and the company profile, right? I set up my data visibility as to who will see what. And here my role hierarchy and the hierarchy that we actually discussed plays a important role. Okay, so all sort of things like profiles, whether we should have a permission set, whether we should have a profile. So those kinds of decisions are made at this point in time, right? The next thing that we actually look at is the data modeling piece. What sort of data model actually we are looking at, right? Yeah. So what sort of data model are we looking at? So whether we want to use maximum standard objects, custom objects, what is the relationship between these objects? Those are the things that we have to look at from the data modeling perspective, right? So in our case, the case study that we're looking at, we mostly see Sales Cloud as one of the prospective solutions for implementing this, right? The next thing that we would be looking at is the collaboration between the teams and managing the activities with the help of tasks, activities, then chatter, all of these elements, right? The other thing that we would be looking at would be your sales and marketing applications. So here we talk about Sales Cloud and Marketing Cloud. Basically, from admin perspective, it will be more of the basic marketing capabilities that you get along with the Sales Cloud. Then to close the end-to-end story, we look at the service applications. So this is nothing but the service cloud that we look at and the related elements on that, right? Then we look at the business process automation. Now, this is the key part of after data modeling and data security. This is again a key part because here you look at the declarative automations which are available out of the box. So in your entire sales process, any sort of notifications that you send or any sort of system updates that you do, so whether you want to use flows for it or whether you want to use workflows for it, okay, whether you want to use any sort of out of the box rules like assignment rules or the response rules. So those are the things that you look at when you're talking about the business process automations. And last is basically analytics and your data management. Okay. So analytics is all about reporting for the sales hierarchy, sales or say service hierarchy. And data management is all about your import, export, quality of data. Maybe you can look at deduplication in this case. Okay. So these are the key things that we look at when we talk about the admin and how you relate this to the overall story that we just talked about. So here we do the config setup including your sales manager, sales reps, and all those things. So we build the role hierarchy here. We build the company profile here, who is actually selling the phone. Okay. Then the data modeling element here. So whether we want to use the out of the box standard objects, or if we need to build any sort of custom object at all. Then the next thing that we look at, collaboration between these teams. Okay, collaboration between these teams and with the customer as well. Then this essentially is part of what type of license we will need, right? So whether we need Sales Cloud or Service Cloud, and or both. And by leveraging Sales Cloud, we actually kind of get a help on by using a pre-packaged solution from the lead and opportunity and order management, everything of that sort, right? Then business process automations to manage the validations and manage the entire processes here. Any sort of automation that I just discussed. Then reporting for this hierarchy has to, because they may be wanting to see what kind of data is available, what kind of pipeline do we have, and how much has the account team contributed, how much has the opportunity team contributed, that kind of thing, and any sort of data import export. So those are the things that we actually look at from the case data perspective.
So Manika,
yeah,
there is a background noise which is coming. It's a kind of a vibration sound. Can you just check any of the devices are there is a notification coming?
Go away with I just stop sharing. I think.
Okay.
Yeah, I think now it will be going. Now it will.
Okay.
Okay. So having said that, I mean, having talked about all these elements, let's look at what admin exam actually looks at. There is a percentage distribution which is there, and as I focused upon the configuration setup, the object manager and lightning amp builder, so these are the key elements where actually you should be focusing on. So if you see, the 40% of your exam actually comes out of these two topics. Okay, and another 30% actually comes from your data analytics and your business process automation and your collaboration. Then you can also focus on the Service Cloud and Sales Cloud, because this is where you have to understand that how your record types will be put in, how your page layouts will be actually created. So those are the things we actually kind of focus on. Okay. I think for the exam, you would have seen on the trailhead already that there are like 60 MCQs that you get, and there are like 5 questions that they keep for the data quality purpose. These are non-scored ones. The exam is of 105 minutes, approximately like more than 1.5 hours. And then the exam percentage is 65% passing, and it has to be in all the segments. It's not like the overall, it has to be on all the segments. Minimum you have to pass. There's a minimum passing score. If you're scoring 0% in one of them, you won't be able to clear the exam. Okay. So case study we have already looked at. Now let's look at some of the focus areas that you should be planning when you are actually building your exam or preparing for your exam, right? We have configuration and setup. So here, the things that we should be focusing on, the data security, and this goes a very long way. So you should be able to understand that what are profiles. Okay, so it's nothing but consolidation of your access on the objects, right? So it gives you the object level permissions. Then whether you should be creating a permission set or whether you should be creating a profile is what you actually decide here on the data security. Then what sort of record level accesses you should be giving, right? Whether you should have the sharing rules, and on which object, what type of sharing rules should be there, what is the role hierarchy that you should be building. So as I explained in the example, you have a sales rep, you have a sales manager, you have an area manager, and you're building a hierarchy out of it. Then the out of box capabilities uh, that follow in the sales cloud around the account management and the opportunity teams and all. So that Padmaja will talk about. So those are the elements in the data security you should be focusing on. And then the basics around what is a multi-tenant architecture, how the Salesforce actually manages the data and things like that. Then uh, the user management and the user basics and navigating through the application. So that is like the basic concepts you should be kind of focusing on when you're preparing for this particular topic. Next comes the object manager and lightning app builder. So on the object manager, these are like very basic things, and there are a lot of questions that actually come on from here, comparing the standard objects versus your custom objects. Then the master detail relationship and the lookup relationship and the key differences between them, right? So for example, if you delete a child record or if you delete a parent record in master detail relationship, will the child get deleted or not? Okay. Are lookup relationships optional or the master detail relationship mandatory? So those kind of differences you should be understanding very clearly as to what it should be, why it should be, because there will be no direct questions. It will be all situational questions. So you will be given a case study again of simple 2 or 3 lines, and you will be asked to make a decision whether it should be master detail, whether it should be lookup, or if my parent record is deleted, whether the child record will get deleted or not. So those kind of key things you should be able to answer. Okay. Then the lightning app builder, as to how you configure the desktop and the mobile view from the lightning app builder. What are the navigation elements that you can put in the lightning app builder? Those things you should be understanding. Then the native automations that come with the fields, right? So if you create a formula field, whether in what situation can you do a cross object formula field, right? So you can do only if there is a relationship between the two objects, right? Roll up summary also you can do only when it's a master detail relationship. So those kind of things you have to be careful while you're reading the question and you're answering the question. Okay, so there may be a difference of no, not, and do not, or not, or removing that not. So basically that will kind of change your answers, right? Then the validation rules and the sequence of execution of all these rules, so that you cover under the workflow process automation. Custom settings, there may be questions around custom settings and the custom metadata as well. That in what situation you may be wanting to create, whether you should create a custom metadata in this situation or that situation, that kind of a thing should be answered. Okay. Padmaja, can you talk about the sales and service cloud?
Yes, sure, Manika. Thank you so much. Good evening, everyone. This is Padmaja Chaurasia. And so I think Akhilesh Sahu has raised his hand, Manika. Should we listen to his question first, or?
Yeah, sure, we can.
Yeah, Akhilesh, please come up with your question.
Yeah, hi Padmaja and hi Manika. My question is related to this training source, Salesforce and all that. As I'm a fresher and I'm a non-IT guy, and I would like to know the benefits to do this Salesforce expertization and training which you are going to provide. And after the training, what assistance would I get so that I get a benefit in the monetary value? So I would like to know about this.
Okay, Akhilesh, that question I'll take up at the end because that is something that I have planned for talking.
And basically everybody else also would want to know that,
Yes, yes.
which you have asked, Akhilesh. So good question. Thanks. Okay. So when we talk
Hello,
about,
I'm sorry to interrupt.
yeah.
Yeah,
Can I ask one question here?
yeah, sure.
Basically the thing which you have a focus preparation slide, is it a new summer the summer release one? Is it based on summer released?
Yeah, it's based on the credentials and the trailheads which we have on the trailhead right now.
Like, is it exact one, the percentage you have added here?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, thank you.
The percentage almost remains the same. It is only about the new
Correct.
features that gets introduced at each of the releases Salesforce publish, right? So percentage will remain almost same. Okay, so
Okay,
let's talk
thank you.
about, yeah, no worries. So let's talk about the sales and marketing applications. So in the Salesforce admin exam, almost all the questions would be scenario based. So when it comes to the sales and marketing applications, it will be the scenario based questions, which will let you think that, is this a campaign that you should be creating, or they are really talking?
I can't hear you.
We can hear her, Jennifer. Yeah, we're able to hear her.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
what
yeah,
I was, yeah, so what I was saying is, in the Sales Cloud, when it comes to the questions, they will be scenario based questions, and these scenarios will let you think about whether it is a campaign that you should be creating in this scenario, or they are really talking about directly the lead to be captured in the Salesforce, because there are multiple ways, how the leads get into the Salesforce, right? So either you create the campaign in the Salesforce, execute it, and then capture the leads out, which is the output of that campaign. And then there are various other things that you do, add the members to that campaign, segment, segregate, and that's where the journey starts for the Sales Cloud. Basically, once your leads is in the how you can get the leads in the Salesforce. So there are multiple ways you can get the leads into Salesforce system. So you can directly import the leads. So if there is any offline campaign that you have run through, you have captured all the leads data into an Excel. There are ways you can directly import the leads into Salesforce. You can load the leads using the data loader as well. So there will be questions around these type of scenarios as well. Okay, so you need to really pick up the words that will give you the lead to the right answers for lead capturing into the Salesforce. There could be a way which is a very common web to lead way, in that also directly integrating with external web application. And when you talk about integration, everybody thinks about coding or something like that, but no, Salesforce has given a configuration based integration mechanism as well, which is web to lead. So if on an existing website of a company, someone fills up the details, contact us, or any inquiry or query, that can directly come to your Salesforce application as a lead. Okay, so those are the different ways, and the questions will definitely be around that. Now, once the lead comes into the Salesforce, what happens next is obviously the qualification and the conversion of the lead into the opportunity. So what are the ways? What happens when you convert the lead? Will you be able to see that lead after it is converted into a opportunity and contact? Is it mandatory to really have a account created every time, or opportunity created every time when you convert a lead? All those questions you can expect, and these are very basics about the Salesforce that you will get to learn during your trailheads as well. Okay, so stay focused on the words in those scenarios. In Sales Cloud, you also have your sales processes to be set up, because each of the opportunity goes through various stages, and you can have multiple processes as well. And when it comes to the processes, we segregate generally those processes through the record types, and for each of the record types you create the page layouts, because there are different type of personas that will be working on Sales Cloud. So it can be multiple business units that you can set up on the Sales Cloud, and for that you may have different processes even for the sale, right? So those are the key areas that we should focus while reading through or while preparing for the admin exam, and there will be questions around all these topics as well. Sales Cloud also encompass various other things like your file sync and the file sharing, or process automation, or pipeline and forecasting. Okay, so your actual sales versus your planned or target. Territory management is a big topic. They cover it in the Sales Cloud consultant exam, but few of the very basic things about the sales territory you can expect in the admin exam as well. Also comes the activity and task management, which is a basic platform capability. And those activity and task management plays a very key role for automating few of the things, but all is going to be a situation based question. There won't be any straightforward question for you to know that, okay, I can do this with the activity management as well. Yeah. Similarly, for the Service Cloud, when you move around, although on the Sales Cloud, there are standard objects around the quote and contracts, but I have seen, okay, 5-4 questions or 2-3 questions in an exam most of the time. But those are the standard objects which you can make use of. But this is not a end-to-end CPQ functionality that you have in the Sales Cloud, because there is a separate package for the CPQ. And so in the admin exam, they don't cover much of the questions on the quote or contract, but some situational questions you can expect. So it is good for you to know what all the basic objects you have in the Sales Cloud, what all the capabilities around those objects, and what are the integrations which are possible for an admin to achieve without doing any coding in the Sales Cloud. And same goes with the Service Cloud also. So in the Service Cloud also, there are services, basically the post sales support that you do to your customer. Like if you are purchasing a water filter, you get a AMC, right? Annual maintenance plan, annual maintenance scheme, or annual maintenance contract. You can call it by any of these names. And then the service person comes to your door time to time and do the servicing of your equipment. So those type of situational questions you can expect in the Service Cloud, because everything revolves around the service. And now Service Cloud also have a lot of new topics like visual remote assistance, where admin can play it is configurable feature. So even those would be added into the admin exam, because an administrator is expected to know all the configuration level stuff, basically, which is readily available in the platform, right? In Service Cloud, everything revolves around the case. Case is the main object, and Service Cloud also shares the accounts and contacts from the Sales Cloud. So those are the common objects between Sales and Service Cloud, and that's why they are captured in admin exam. So for cases also, again, the capturing of the cases, there are multiple ways a customer can call in. So there will be a CTI integration. You can expect 1 or 2 questions around that. Website to Salesforce, so web to case, email to case. If someone is sending the email, if customer is sending the email, you should be able to capture it in the case object. So they won't ask you the straightforward question, but they will create a situation like, I have a problem and I'm sending an email. Or I want an email come to the company, should be captured as the case and should be routed to the right service agent. Okay, and when they say write service agent, they are really talking about the case routing. So there are rules, case routing rules that can be configured. There are queues that can be created, and the cases based on the criteria can be routed to different queues, and people will be monitoring those queues to resolve those cases, call back the customer, or resolve the case, whatever it is for, right? So all those are situation based questions again. Web to email and email to case, email web to case, all this is configuration and very straightforward. There is no coding involved over here, right? Assignment and escalation rules, they are again configurable, and you can have multiple assignment and escalation rules as well, right? Someone needs to go on mute, I believe.
And I think you can go on mute, please. Padmaja, you'll continue.
Yeah, so service and support applications. So the omni-channel is one of the key feature of the service cloud, and omni-channel means via any channel you should be able to serve your customers, and your customer should be able to reach you seamlessly by any channel. So if I am putting something in as a query from my mobile, and if I log in via the website, I should be able to see what all my open cases are, or what is my status probably, right, on the case. So omni-channel will allow you to serve your customers via multiple channels seamlessly without any integration explicitly to be done. It is all platform driven. Omni-channel support is one of the key feature in the service cloud, and you can expect some of the questions on that also. As far as it is the service cloud. Knowledge is another topic in the service cloud, which is for agents to get the support on a particular product or piece that has been sold, and customer is really inquiring about how can I use it, or this is not getting switched on or not getting switched off, or whatever it is, right? So products will always have the documentation around them to help the agents resolve customers' problems. So knowledge management or knowledge base is one of the key aspects of the service cloud. Every agent, it will come very handy for an agent for these type of queries. Even the chatbot in a case, because there is a possibility of implementing the chatbot for resolving how and what type of questions, which are straightforward and can be picked up by the keywords. So chatbot can also be configured on the service cloud. But yes, knowledge base plays a key role even in case of the chatbot, because your chatbot is also data driven. So you have to feed a lot of data to it and create the intelligence around it, right? Then comes the analytics. So service analytics, there would be out of the box reports and dashboards which will be available on the service cloud for everyone. And admin would need to know about what all the out of the box reports are there, or is it possible to create a report, or this is a particular situation where you probably create a view. So between view and between report, there could be situational questions. Okay, so it really depends. Even from the hierarchy point of view, that if an exec wants to see some view, and if a manager wants to see some view, and if an agent wants to see some view, what are the various differences? Who can see what and who can access what? Those are the aspects which are covered in the security, but it applies everywhere. So they can give you the security questions in the relevance of a situation for a service agent, or for a regional manager services, or something like that, right? So visual remote assistance, service process and automation, analytics, omni-channel, knowledge base, your service console view for the agent, your case management, where it comes the routing, escalations, assignment rules, etc. All these are the topics on service cloud. And telephony integration, which is a CTI integration, is also a topic in service cloud area. And you can expect some of the questions over there, and mostly it is around that if a customer is calling in, what happens? Will the agent automatically know which customer it is? So yes, that is possible via the CTI integration. telephony integration, that when an existing customer is calling in Salesforce, the CTI integration will automatically identify the existing customer and pops up the record of that customer, so that an agent can see the 360 view of the details of that customer, that okay, what was the past cases that customer has raised, or what are the activities, what was the interaction that had been done with that customer, what are the products this customer has purchased, whether that product is under warranty of, or it is a new product, or it is warranty is expired, or it is about to expire probably. Even those type of things you would be able to know via the customer 360 console or your service 360 console, where you will have the customer view as well. And that helps the customer improve their productivity. So you won't find a straightforward questions, but these type of that to improve the productivity of the agent, what all the instruments that we can apply. So those are the areas where you can select the right answers. They generally give the choices that select 3 or select 2, something like that. And then we will be given the options and we can select it. So Manika, I think almost sales and service topics are covered. You can proceed, yeah.
Yes. So the key thing that Padmaja shared was that in context of sales and service cloud, you may get a lot of questions on the data security and the data modeling aspects as well. The other thing is that on the data analytics and the data management part, right? So where you have to import it, where you have to export it, is what you actually get a lot of questions around that as well. So I think around 7-8 questions that you get, and specifically on the reports part, the custom report types you are asked about, and the visibility settings. So if you have a folder access or you don't have a folder access, based on that, your dashboards may not be able to show the reports, and based on your hierarchy, you may not have visibility to certain data. So it will not appear in the reports and consequently in the dashboards. So hence those kind of situational questions are again asked. Okay. Then workflow and process automation. So basically here, as I was talking about, so while you are, the questions mostly are around, say, what type of workflow would be required, whether there will be a time-based workflow required or the criteria-based workflow required. Now, one thing to note here is that the workflow and the process builders will be soon retired by Salesforce. So the focus is all going towards flows. So flows has now been enabled to be triggered either on the screen-based or based on your record-based triggered, or based on your self-triggered solutions or auto-launch kind of flows which are there. So those kind of things have to be covered while you are studying the flows, and try to focus a lot on the order of execution of these validation rules and flows. Okay. So net as in your preparation, why I wanted to actually talk about this focused preparation before even I jump on the application, is that when you are actually browsing through the application, navigating through the application, I suggest you go back to the first step which I went to, take a case study, relate it to the application, and then relate it to your preparation. So whenever you are looking at the data security aspects or the data modeling aspects, focus a lot on it. Okay, so you will be able to easily prepare and kind of crack through it. See, when we gave the exam for admin and all, we didn't have those visibility, or we didn't have that much exposure. So I just wanted to kind of have that connect with all of you, so that you are able to prepare it well and take it well. Okay. I'll just stop the share for a moment, as I want to actually share the, I actually want to share the how the application actually looks like, because there are some of the newbies on the call as well. So for them, it's better that if I just show how the Salesforce looks like and how actually we can we do navigate through it, and what are the elements that we have been talking through all this while. Okay, so meanwhile, I mean, while I'm resharing my screen, if anyone has any questions, you can kind of post it now. Okay.
Excuse me, ma'am. I have a question.
Yeah.
So, what are the chances to pass that exam? Is it easy, or what is the level of that exam?
So I would suggest that's a good question, Sanjana. So I would suggest that you spend some time, if you're a newbie on the Salesforce system, right? So spend at least 3 minutes and 3 months understanding the system and understanding all the configurations, because the questions, as I said, or as Padmaja also pointed out, there will be like a lot of questions which will be asked on the situational basis. So you have to catch the keywords and be able to answer that. For that, some level of practice is mandatory. Okay. So at least spend that much time before you attempt the exam, and do a lot of mock-up exams, so that you are able to um, practice it beforehand, and you are able to understand that what are the different uh, questions or type of questions that are asked. Okay. Okay. So just to give a brief overview of the application for the people who have not worked on Salesforce before and are wanting to build their career on Salesforce, right? So we log in through this application with the user ID and password. And for that, what you can do is you can go to developer.salesforce.com, and here just sign up for your org. Okay, so this developer org is absolutely free for you to practice around and play around. So you can create your developer login, and with that login, the next step would be actually to go to trailhead.salesforce.com and sign up with your developer login on this. So this Trailhead is actually a gaming based learning portal given by Salesforce, and it absolutely gives you everything that you can actually learn through. Okay. So once you are done with these two steps, then what you can do is, focusing on admin exam, you can actually go to the Salesforce administrator from here and go to the administrator part, and you can start preparing your administrator. Here, they have also put up an interactive practice test for you to be able to do that. And with this trail mix, you will be easily able to kind of browse through the topics which we actually just touched upon and kind of focused on. So you can go through each of them, and there are like small projects which are already available and a super badge which is there. So you can attempt those and practice whatever you have been learning through in the setup. Okay. I'll also touch upon the training once we are towards the end of the session. Okay. Okay. I'll just give you a look and feel of how you navigate through the application, right? So as soon as you log in, actually, you will be landing on one of the apps. So this is the place from where you actually launch your apps. Okay, this is something similar to your phones and all, which you Android or iOS phones that you may be using. So any application like your kids schools application, or your daily deliveries applications like Amazon or anything like that. So you just go and click that. Similarly, these are similar kind of apps which are actually consolidation of certain features and functionalities under one head, or packaged under one head. Okay. So we were talking about the Sales Cloud, right? So this is how your Sales Cloud looks like. And if you recall the case study which we were talking about, leads, opportunities, dashboards, accounts, contacts. So all these are standard objects which are available. Similarly, you can go and search for your service application. So again, this service app provides you primarily cases. And as Padmaja said, the accounts and contacts come pre-packaged in that. Okay. So that's why it's close to admin, and it's taken as part of your admin exams as well. So that's how you navigate through the application, and how you actually go and configure that. This is the gearbox. So from here, actually, you can just go to the setup. And this is the profile. So this is basically your profile. So you can go and edit your logins, and you can edit your own. If you click on this Astro, right? So it will show you your profile and you can modify your profile. Once you click on this here, you go to the setup. And on this setup, you have all the elements here on the left side to be able to edit. So from here, you edit the users. You can create or delete the users. Okay. And these are the data security elements like creating the profiles, queues, roles, and all. Similarly, it comes with a inbuilt search. Okay. So if I have to do a data import, right, I just search that and it shows me all the setup functionalities, starting with data or having data. So you can access data loader, data import wizard, data protection and privacy. So you can manage all these settings with help of this. The object manager is where you actually create the you manage your standard objects and you can create your own custom objects. Okay, so these are the standard objects which are there. So if you see, the type mentioned here is standard object, and if you want to create one, you can always go and create using the custom object option here, which will actually allow you to create the objects of your choice. Similarly, there are other options to create. So if you have multiple objects to be created, you can do it using spreadsheet, or you can do it using the schema builder as well. So that's the basic know-how of how the Salesforce actually looks like. And there's one common question that people generally ask me is that what actually Salesforce do for the companies. Okay, so that's why I covered that case study first. So you consider one company, right? So let's take an example of, say, an automobile company or a broadband company for that matter. Okay, so now broadband company is actually selling their products, they're selling their plans and all. But what they want is that they don't want to lose their customers. Okay, they don't want to lose the data of their customers. So they basically want to have a single source of truth where they can manage all the customers' data at one place. They're able to do their sales processes. They're able to run their marketing elements. So any campaigns that they run through web or email, they should be able to do it from one place. So that's where actually Salesforce helped with doing the sales and marketing automation and the peripheral, I would say, features like the CPQ, where you do the product configuration and quoting. Then not to forget the key element, again, Service Cloud that we touched upon right away. So doing your service management, doing your sales management, doing your product configurations, doing your marketing, all of these can be done from Salesforce itself. And as a developer, you are enabling that broadband selling company with configuring those features and bringing those features in line to the processes that company sells. Understood? So this is what Salesforce does, and this is what you as a developer or an administrator do for that company. Okay, and the end user is either the sales representatives or the sales agents and the teams, account teams and the opportunity teams, or you as a customer, you are the end user of these applications. Okay. So that's in nutshell a small gist about how Salesforce can actually help you and what it does and what it is actually all about.